Do you have any other favorite automations that you're really proud of for your smart home?
The one I'm working on this summer, and it's kind of a little janky right now, but I'm figuring it out. Is I like to garden, but I don't like the
Hmm.
manual labor of gardening. So I'm kind of a lazy gardener. We bought a house a couple years ago, and the backyard was like absolutely bare. Like there was basically nothing
Yeah.
besides some overgrown vegetation. And we've taken that yard and we've divided it in half, and half of that yard is gardens for vegetables and fruits and stuff like that. And I think right now we have 5 raised garden beds, and then 20 or 30 linear feet of in-ground beds that we've done. And I've set up the automations for those where they automatically water themselves every day. I've tied that into our weather station as well. So we have an EcoWit weather station, and it tells me when it's raining or how much the wind is and stuff like that. And the water valves I'm using are Sonoff water valves. They just hook into your regular hose spigot there. And then you have little drip irrigation lines that come off that. And so I set that up as an automation. So, every day, 3 times a day, the plants automatically get watered. But if it's raining or if it's rained more than a certain amount during the day, then they don't get watered. And we also have soil moisture sensors, which I have not fully figured out how to integrate those yet. I got to work on how moist the soil should be for that to happen correctly. But I would say my garden automation is my favorite. I need to refine it a little more though.
And that's all powered through, like, is Home Assistant the brains for that?
Correct. Yeah. So Home Assistant's doing everything. Everything in our house, Home Assistant does. I try to avoid, any standalone apps or anything like that. Minus like Sonos or something that needs it. But
Interesting. So, I mean, it sounds like this is kind of, I was going to ask, what is kind of the next generation or next iteration of stuff you want to work on, or like in terms of technologies you want to integrate? Uh, because again, clearly you're very proficient in home automation, right? So it's as again having a business in it and whatnot. Uh, but what's the one side you kind of want to explore and do a little more on?
for me, I would like to do shades at some point, but I don't think it's going to happen in this house. This is our first house, and it's kind of meant as a stepping stone. And when you start looking at automated shades, until recently they've been very expensive. Like SwitchBot has released a couple options that are $200. Which isn't bad, so I can outfit my living room that has 2 windows. But what I really want is my den, which has 7 windows, and so I'm spending $1,500 $2,000 to automate the windows. So I don't think that's going to happen yet. Honestly, I think what I'm going to start working on this year though is like a proper irrigation system. We had somebody out to give us a quote to like install an irrigation system, and they would install the backflow preventer and the separate water meter so we don't get charged for sewer waste and stuff like that. But it was like $5,000 or something obnoxious.
Oh
So I'm
wow.
gonna work on probably doing that myself because we've added so many garden beds now that it's kind of hard to manage it with just the sewn off hose valves.
Yeah.
And it's very ugly, because those things are pretty
Sure.
bulky. They only control, one zone at a time. Whereas like a proper irrigation system, I can kind of set it up and, control different valves and stuff like that. So I think that's my next step, but I'm totally out of place here and I have no idea where to even start. So I've been just researching a ton on how irrigation systems work and like how I can implement it for my setup, because most of the time when
Yeah.
people are doing irrigation system, it's for their grass. And I
Mm.
personally don't really care about my grass. I care about the vegetables and the fruits and stuff like that. So it's kind of I have to tailor it to that need instead.
I guess it's a little late from when this recording is going to come out, but I literally got irrigation put in on Thursday. And again, primarily for the grass, to your point, but I did actually make sure that they overturned the sprinklers a little bit, so my our flower beds get it and whatever. Not flower bed, but like on our deck, we have
Yeah.
a little flower bed thing, and just that kind of stuff, right? And it was interesting because the person that came in, he's local, lives a couple minutes from me, kind of thing, and he's like, hey, like I get it, I know what the soil is here, all the stuff, and it's like he did a fantastic job, and they put in a a rainbird system for me, right? And I'm like, first thing I did, obviously, is like, okay, bringing it in. Literally, he was packing up his stuff, and I already just brought it into Home Assistant. Um, And Phil was texting me at that point, and he was like, "Oh, this is like, how is it?" And I was like, "Did you bring it into home?" I'm like, "I'm literally doing that right now." And it was cool. I like so it's but what I found interesting was it's a lot. I don't know what I was expecting it to be, but it's a lot simpler than I thought it would be. Right, the integration in, and it's like, okay, I've got like a switch for zone one, there's a switch for zone two, a switch for, I was like, I guess that makes sense. Like I don't know what else I was expecting from it, but that's pretty much all there is. And in the controller, there's like I have one of those like rain sensor things that they installed as well. And again, it's like rain sensor on off, and I was like, so I assume rain sensor on means it's raining, or it's wet, right? And but it is it's very primitive, but I was like, okay, I guess this makes sense, right? It's just I don't know what else I was really expecting it to have. I would have loved for it to bring in like the programs that I have programmed in it and
Hmm.
stuff like that, so that I can actually just do the whole thing through Home Assistant and not ever use the app. But yeah, I could. I just have to delete all my programs on that side and then switch this on, switch that on, so on and so forth. But
So for me, when we started the smart garden last year, I had the Flume water meter, which basically just like straps to the water meter itself. It just tells you, when water is running, and it did a pretty accurate job of like telling you how much water you used. And it actually helped me find a leak last year. Like one of my irrigation hose broke, and so it's just like spewing out water forever.
do you have that on your water main or on your tap outside on your spigot?
Yeah, my tap outside.
Okay.
Or what? The Flume?
Yeah, yeah.
The Flume actually attached to the water meter itself. It like wraps
Okay.
around it, and it just like, I guess it reads like the electromagnetic pulses.
Got
But
it.
they replaced my water meter, and so I don't have any automation for that right now. But so for me, I had to like basically build in some fail safes with the irrigation system, and so like I have an
Mhm.
automation for every hose valve that if whenever the hose valve turns on, no matter what, after 15 minutes it turns off. Is there any like
Right.
fail safes with like your irrigation, system, for example? Like, does it, or are you just basically relying on that automation to say, hey, turn on at 11 and turn off at 11:15, or is there any like fail safes involved with that?
Not right now. I do want to put some type of um, again, ability to turn off the water there. Uh, I don't quite know. I haven't gotten that far into it. Again, like I said, I got it on Thursday, and I haven't thought that far into it yet. In terms of how I want to deal with again leaks and stuff like that. Right. The nice thing is realistically, the only place I'll get a leak is between the hose and the solenoid. Um, which again, I'll need to figure out how I detect those leaks. I don't know that I know how yet.
Mm-hmm.
But in inside, just because again it's cold, it gets cold here in Toronto, right? So inside, I have a water shut off. So I'd love to have some sort of a just again like the automatic water shut off type things.
Like a Zeus Titan or something.
Yeah, exactly, right. So get something like that in there just to shut off the water in case there is something. But right now it's I have to get a step stool and turn the thing and do that right now. But or turn it off at the spigot, but which is probably going to be my current method.
If you did shut it off like after the solenoid, you would just kill power to the whole thing, right? Because it's just running like to keep
Yeah.
that solenoid open, it requires power, right? As soon as you kill
Mhm.
power, it loses power, the valve will
Oh
shut.
yeah, that's a good idea too.
Yeah, it's just between the spigot and the solenoid that I
Yeah.
need to worry about.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Um,
always thinking about stuff like that, right? Because, automation is great and technology is great, but at some point it's going to fail.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is. It's not going to work 100% all the time.
yeah,
And so, building in those fail safes, I think is really important, especially when you're dealing with water. Like our
Absolutely.
Yeah.
water is relatively affordable, but, if we go through 5,000 gallons of water in a day because we have a leak, like that's not affordable or sustainable.
No.
So,
Not potential,
no,
like if you're flooding a garden or something, right?
yeah.
yeah. And
It's a
what I
little more
did is I
difficult.
actually got him to install the Rainbird, the actual unit itself, inside in my basement. So he just poked a hole through my concrete foundation, whatever, and brought it inside, because then at that point, to your point, when I do need to physically power it up, it's just a matter of turning a thing or literally just unplugging it.
Yeah.
Rather than having to do all this extra stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of like all my stuff gets smart outlets for the most part, like, so if I, like, we have like Nanoleaf permanent outdoor lights that are on the house, and like even those have a smart outlet because occasionally it needs rebooted. It's fine.